Now EMP comes out and that is it. 3 kills.
Don't worry about Blur. Blur has replicated the bash and has gone the other way around the stage. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is Causa Buffalo Cup. I'm finally back to cast some South African Overwatch action. It's the Dream Team back together, myself and Sun Phoenix, ready for what looks like a pretty good clash here at the end of the group stage.
Oh, as I sink lower down so that we match up. Yes, this is an awesome game. It's awesome to have you back. Altruism, you've been jet setting all around the nation. Both in the sense that you've been traveling around and also casting some Rocket League in Joburg. So that's very exciting. Of course, doing some contenders trials as well for Overwatch. So excited to have you back in the mix here. But yes, awesome game we have coming at us this evening. It is the last game of the Causa Buffalo Cup group stages, as you said. And it's a real doozy. It's a question of who's the best of the rest. Obviously, we know, Altruism, that even with your time away, you know that Beasty Boys are still the king of the hill here, P1 in terms of South African Overwatch. And the question really is, who is P2? And this is the first time that we're going to answer that question or get some sense of what the answer is. Beasty Boys, again, not to be confused with the main Beastie Boys squad, it's their second squad, versus Enigma, who've always been in that second or third slot. First, it was behind ATK when they were 2CP. Then it was behind Beastie Boys again and Randburg earlier this year. And now they're still struggling to live up to that level that Beastie Boys, the main squad, puts out. And now Beastie Boys again, they're looking to challenge for that second place slot. So that's the question that we're going to have answered this evening, hopefully.
I love the shakeup that has come in South African Overwatch recently. Is like every so often we've had these amazing teams sitting at the top, but the rest of the table has always fought so valiantly. Yeah. And now we're getting to see Group B, right? So Beastie Boys is currently topping Group A, doing fantastically well. They're not really looking challenged at all. Now it's who's going to take them on. What is our grand finals going to be? Beastie Boys versus and Enigma, like you say, having been around for a long time. So many big names in this lineup. But we quickly take a run through that lineup. You got main tank Blur, off tank Vertigo, brilliant synergistic pair that works around Vertigo, one of the best PL players in South Africa on something like a Diva. You've got Assassin JDB and Jelly Doodle coming through on your DPS lineup, both of them able to pick off people very quickly when they're out of position. And then a very reliable support duo in Toxin Socks and Fluffy. This is a powerful team, but they haven't been able to make the big impact in the South African scene just yet.
Yeah, it's the same complaint I always make about Enigma is that on paper, this team should be a dominant force. And I suppose in a sense they are. The only team that are, existing in Overwatch today in South Africa that's more dominant than they are is, of course, Beastie Boys. And you look at that lineup and you go, oh, that makes a ton of sense. These players many of them are champions in previous years. And so you look at a team like Enigma and you think this is a super stacked roster. You've got one of the best hit scans in the country. You've got two great tanks that synergize very well together in Blur and Vertigo. You've got Assassin JDB, one of the best up-and-coming projectile DPS players, especially if you've seen the Pride Cup. He really, really stood out there, and I was excited to see him move on to this Enigma team. And Toxin Fluffy, two of the most stable supports that they are and very mechanically gifted. Two of the best flex supports on the same team here. Tox, well known for his Mercy, and Fluffy, a monster on that Ana. A really, really strong roster. And so you look at them and you think they should be challenging for first and second place, and they usually do, but Beastie Boys have been just a cut above them up until now. And I'm really excited to see where this Beastie Boys Agane squad slots in. Are they going to be the better than the sum of their parts and come in and put on a dominant performance here against Enigma? Or Enigma going to establish themselves as, yes, we are the second best team until we see them face Beastie Boys, where they'll be able to challenge for that first position again?
Yeah, this is the really nice fact that Enigma is now going to be playing against the Beastie Boys Academy team. I always get excited about Academy teams because they're obviously scouting young, high potential talent that can maybe come in and add something. You put them all together, give them a bit of coaching. And considering the success of Beastie Boys currently, it's going to be interesting to see how much of that is filtered down to their Academy team. Do they have players that are sitting and working on set strategies or, VOD reviewing with the junior players? And how is that affected? So Enigma versus like Enigma Light right now, Enigma Academy. Beastie Boys Academy.
Yes, yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see like how far is Enigma downwards towards the Academy team or upwards towards the Beastie Boys teams? Because I've also heard lingering rumors of Beastie Boys Agane, the Academy team, actually really challenging the original Beastie Boys lineup. They do scrim between them. And so the level of the Academy lineup and their synergy and their game experience must be huge right now.
Yeah, I think Academy almost feels like a bit of a misnomer in that sense. And calling them the B team and the second team, it feels like a bit iffy when you actually see the strength of this lineup. And that's why the question is really, how good are they against Enigma? Is it just Beastie Boys 1, Beastie Boys 2 in South Africa? Or is Enigma able to push themselves in there and say, no, we are the second best. You are the quote unquote B team, and we're going to prove that tonight.
Amazing. I'm excited to see this. If you guys are unfamiliar with the roster, we got Stalker and Amali coming in on your 2 tank roles. Trizzle, the very young DPS coming through here, plays a lot of Apex and has really been improving his aim lately. And Kiri going to be taking in those 2 DPS roles. We might see Hayden peek in at some stage tonight on the DPS roles. And then Newt and Smiley. Newt, a very proficient tank player, but more known for the supportive role, having swapped back down towards that now after TSG missed. And Smiley, very good Mercy player. That's going to be very important to try and keep alive against this DPS onslaught.
Absolutely, and really, this is a super stellar roster of young, up and coming talent. I think that's the big narrative that we can pull from this on Altruism as well. It's the old heads of Enigma, all players who have been in South African Overwatch for 2-3 years plus, coming up against some of the younger guys. A lot of these players are still in school. And well, at least 2 of them are, and I know those 2 players very well as former members of TSG team Mist in Trizzle and Newt. And even deeper than this, their roster has a lot of players who aren't in the starting 6 who are really stellar young players, and that's exciting to see. So in that sense, they are more of an academy team of young up and coming superstars. And I think the real standout for me today is going to be Kiri. Moving in from Dynamic Core Gaming, the real super standout from that squad on that hit scan role, and seeing how he's going to come up against Jelly Doodle on the other hit scan on the opposing side, that's going to be super exciting to me. The other big battle that we look out for, as always, is between the 2 tanks. Blur and Vertigo versus Stalker and Amali. That is a big question mark. Who's going to come out on top? We know Stalker, as a former member of that 2CP squad, that Enigma squad that was so successful last year. He knows how Blur plays very well. Blur was his coach for a long time. He knows him very well. How are they going to play? And is the synergy between the 2 tanks going to play a huge part here? We'd have to assume so, but we'll have to see whether the DPS can pick up the slack and how the stability that the support on Enigma bring is going to compare to Smiley and Newt on the other side. We know that you mentioned kind of bringing in strats from the Beastie Boys. We know that Newt is a big thinker. That's his biggest strength, is his brain, his ability to make calls, his ability to make the swaps and get the team to move in unison, and that for me is going to be a key here. There's strong players on both sides. It's all going to come down to teamwork.
Ooh, teamwork. And what a better place to test a team's teamwork than on a control point. That's how we always start these things, right? We've looked at all the history that we've got through between these 2 teams up and coming in the Beastie Boys Agane team, the experience there of Team Enigma. And now we go on to Oasis, Numbani, Dorado as our first 3 maps that maybe teams are not as familiar with. What do you think we're going to start off seeing just in this warm-up round on Oasis, basically?
Well, not a warm-up round. I hope they've had their warm-up rounds already, because this one counts. You got to win this one to get yourself started on the right foot. And I'm not really sure what we're going to see. It really depends on what the teams are feeling works for them. And that really is the key with these teams, especially looking at a guy like Newt. His ability to adapt and respond, or get the team to adapt and respond, is really what pushes his teams to success. And that for me is going to be key here. Is Blur, the old coaching head, he coaches multiple teams and has for many years, a former championship player. He's going to know what he wants to do, but how do these two teams adapt and respond? So whatever they come up with on Oasis is great, but we're going to have to see what success they get to start off with, and then how it kind of unfolds after that. That's really the key, and the question for me is more than what we see from a compositional standpoint, brawl or dive or any of that stuff.
I must admit, that's one of the beauty of Overwatch at this stage right now, is that the meta is so flexible. Is the fact that you can make so many things work. If Blue wants to come out on a wrecking ball to cause havoc, there are things you can work around on all of these control point maps, let's be fair. Oasis has got such good synergy for specific weird little tricks you want to try. If you got two players who work really well together, you can throw... I'm excited to see Volskaya lately. I've been seeing the weirdest Symmetra teleporter back and forth movement of teams in everything. In streamers, in competitive Overwatch. There's a lot of variations that if a team has practiced one or two little things, I'm excited to get into this as soon as possible. Numbani going to be coming up as our second map. That one I'm always excited for. So many weird angles and stuff like that.
You mentioned as well that these are not maps we see a lot. Now, control maps we see a lot of. There's not a control map that we can say, this is the one control map that nobody ever plays. Because we always play at least once and sometimes even play them twice. We've seen most of the control maps many, many times now. But it's after that things start to get interesting. And Numbani, as you say, and Dorado, two maps we don't see a ton of. Anytime Kings Row is in the field, your hybrid maps are really, it's a pool of one. So Numbani gets thrown to the side in that sense. And so we don't get to see a lot of it. And I'm excited to see that. That first point especially is always question marks around that. How do you handle the transition into the second point if you get capped? All exciting questions on Numbani. And then Dorado as well. We saw a match on Friday, if you guys missed that. DYG taking on, sorry, not DYG, Legacy taking on their opponents, whose names are now escaping me.
Their opponents,
yeah.
The other team, guys.
Pangolins, thank you. Producer came in the clutch there. Dorado was kind of, the main focus was all around that first point. So I'm excited to see how those two maps unfold when we actually get there.
All right. So if we take a look at the first instincts here, this is something that I wasn't surprised to see. Mobility being the key right now. The ability of a team to just adjust to different situations by what their lineup does really adds that little bit of element of we can assess what the opponents are doing and then take a good approach with the same heroes. Blur and Vertigo are going to be coming out on the Winston Diva, whereas Stalker and Amali are going to be preferring the Ball Diva. Pretty mobile and pretty consistent DPS from both sides, running the Echo and the Tracer here on Jelly Doodle and Assassin. Oh, Jelly Doodle goes down instantly at the beginning of this fight. That's going to be a huge play here. And Trizzle takes out another one. Some big damage coming in here. Fluffy and Toxin Sock still alive, but not for very long. There's a big turnaround there, coming in with such pressure from the beginning. Trizzle just finding huge damage in all sorts of angles.
You're a little bit ahead of the rest of us here. Altruism casting in the future. We'll try and get that sorted out as soon as possible. But so far, pretty even fight, but it looks like it's actually going to be BBA here with the advantage. You can see the compositional differences here between the two teams. You got Tox on that Brig, not really working out. It doesn't really offer that much against Trizzle's Pharah. We know how good Assassin is on the Pharah, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them switch up to match, but I have to wait and see if that's how they choose to go here. But so far, ball in BBA's court here. Questions whether Enigma can respond.
Some big picks come off at the beginning of the fight, though, and now big actual turnaround here. Blue takes complete control of the point. Toxin Socks even manages to get the boop on Amali off the other side. A great cleanup means that we do get a turnaround on the point.
Yeah, so far actually Enigma, have managed to do this. And you know, I moaned about Tox, or not moaned, but had questions around the Brigitte, but he immediately fires in here. And the strength of what he can do on that hero is, of course, protect Fluffy. When the tank's aggressions come in, he can keep Fluffy very healthy on that Ana, and that's going to keep the rest of the team able to do a ton of damage. So, you know, it's tough to deal with this Pharaoh with the composition they have, but as we saw last week Sunday, if you can just kill the team on the ground, the Pharaoh really struggles to get a ton of value, and that's what Enigma's game plan's got to be here.
Yeah, you know, if you survive the initial burst from the Pharah and you just kind of ignore her and you don't step into dangerous positions that you know, allow them to dive on top of you and burst someone down very quickly, or if you just contest them in the air and manage to try and shut down this Barrage doesn't get anything. There's a tactical visor from the side also going to try and come in here. Trizzle and Kiri doing a huge amount of work, but not really getting a huge amount of kill value out of that at this stage. Now the Primal Rage from Blur just going to knock a couple people around. Still a pretty good hold. Assassin JDB still has that duplicate if they want to drop it here, trying with the finishing beam, and Trizzle over the top, coming in with a bit of damage. They are pretty much ignoring him for now, but can turn their attentions towards him, still being alive. They're going dangerously close towards the two supports, gets one damage tick onto Toxin Socks there, being able to take out the Brigitte, but somehow still contesting this for a long amount of time. They do have control of the point, and so they're going to keep this payload, or this objective at least, ticking over. Just tracing through. Jelly Doodle with a double stick though. The pulse bomb is huge, and then gets a follow-up kill on the Baby Diva.
Absolutely beautiful stuff from Jelly there. That might actually open this point up for Enigma. You know, a long drawn out even fight going the favor of BBA as they had control, as you mentioned. So the point ticks up in their favor, but finally Enigma comes in. The duplicate does come out from Assassin JDB, and they've managed to push BBA back. But BBA are going to be very happy with how things have unfolded. And in fact, Smiley and Trizzle, they haven't had enough here, although Trizzle says, okay, I'm done. Takes his own life here with the barrage, and that's going to be the end of that. But Enigma 50% on the clock, can't afford any more mistakes from here out. Oh, hello. Think we've lost altruism here. Sorry guys, some technical.
There we go. And there we go. Oh, the double bomb from Vertigo to start us off here. This is going to be a big chance for Enigma to try and clear out this point. So far, Beastie Boys has looked really good at being able to stall out the point when it was in their favor. But now they're really struggling to go back into the offensive.
Yeah, just struggling a little bit to get in there. Look, they need a little bit of time to build up a couple of ultis. They've got the Pulse Bomb coming in. They've got a Marley's Bomb as well. So that is, and the Nano Boost, of course, on top of that. Trizzle need to find some angles on the Cowboy as well to put the damage down. So they've got some options coming in, but they're fighting into the rally, which isn't tremendous with the squad, but we're going to have to see how much of an impact Tox is going to have with that ultimate.
Yeah, just so much zoning ability there. The rally means that it's difficult for a fight to break out. Beastie Boys do manage to find something with the Diva self-destruct, taking out Assassin JDB. And both of the DPS now down from Enigma means that they don't really have a lot of kill potential. But it seems like the tanks and the supports, in fact, Toxin Socks flailing around there, keeping the team so healthy, but still putting in such pressure to anyone trying to stall this out here. And Beastie Boys, again, don't manage to get back onto the point. But it is going to be Enigma taking the first round.
Yeah, but the big takeaway from this altruism is that these two teams are evenly matched. This is not going to be a one-sided stomp. Both teams have come to play tonight, and both teams have strengths and weaknesses. Now, exactly what those are, we're going to get a good sense of as the match unfolds. But so far, Enigma with a bit of a slower start, unfortunately for them, but managing to bring it in very comfortably.
Yeah, I like that. I like the thought patterns coming out from both teams. Their execution was sometimes there and thereabouts, or just like really cleanly executed by the other team for both sides. You know, Beastie Boys was able to hold on to that possession. They took control of the point at the 50% mark for Enigma, you know, just before then. Beastie Boys took control of the point and then held on to it for so long. So even though they were trickling people out the whole time, even though they weren't winning the team fight overall, they kept on to it for so long that they built up their own percentage, and they only really needed one return back into the point to be able to take the game for themselves. Enigma, really good defense. Once they had control of the point, they just held it the whole way. They took the fight. Blur starting off with I think it was a triple kill at the beginning of the one fight, using good ultimates. Toxin Socks rally with Blur's Primal Rage. Those sort of combos just allow you to control the space and control the tempo so well for as long as you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we're just going to go to a quick break here. As you can see, we're just having some technical difficulties. We'll get that sorted out quickly and we should be good to go for the rest of the evening. So guys, we'll be about 2 minutes, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have the second round here of Oasis with Enigma taking the first round. Beastie Boys again looking to take it in a slightly similar fashion here, keeping most of the lineup the same, just notably going on to the Reaper for Trizzle. What do you think so far, Sun Phoenix?
I think that's a big deal. Not having the fire, we know how much Trizzle loves that hero. We know how hard that hero is to deal with. So the Reaper instead is going to change the tone of how they play. Going to allow a lot more front-facing aggression here. But you can see how they're using the high ground altruism. Great play from Beastie Boys again. They got their support set up here. They've taken a page out of Enigma's book where they set up the Brig and the Ana together, protecting each other. And that's going to allow the Ana, as we can see here, to keep Stalker super healthy and Trizzle to get ultra aggressive on the front line.
It's a very wave-based attack, though, coming out from Beastie Boys. They got to go forwards, and they got to get a lot out of it every time they push forwards. And this time it seems to have paid off. Has got so close into the face of Enigma that they just overwhelmed them fast enough. I worry sometimes that it's not always going to work out, and then is Beastie Boys going to be able to regroup on that high ground? Very, very powerful position, like you said. Yeah. But if you can't get back there, if it's just you're getting pushed yourself off the point, then Enigma still has a good chance for this. It's how well they survive that initial regression, though, from Beastie Boys again.
Yeah, but look how many resources they can put into keeping that position healthy, right? If you're jumping up there, you're going into a Reaper, Soldier, Brigitte, Ana. That's so tough, and the tanks are so mobile. They can hop down and get back up at will. And you see here, Blur's decided that the target is going to have to be this Brigitte, and I don't disagree. Can they keep them alive? No, they can't. Smiley does go down, and Jelly getting picks from afar.
And this is a really nice separation. We see the rest of Beastie Boys again having to drop down to the low ground, using that tuck visor, though, to take out the counterpart. It is Kira being able to get that advantage and then takes out Vertigo on the Diva. Newt, rather, sorry. Still sticking around in the back line, keeping everyone healthy. And with both DPSs looking very alive and very well, Beastie Boys has managed to get up to 50%.
Yeah, and exactly what I was saying is that look how much resources Blur had to put in to get Smiley down. Look how much damage they took trying to get this point away. And here they come again, this time with the nano boost on the Monkey, and Blur immediately with the double kill.
That's a big pick to start it off there, dropping all the resources. Trizzle trying for a back play into there to try and salvage the other half of the team fight, realizing that they cannot just fight straight into Blur, coming in with that Primal Rage. And you talked about how difficult it is for Enigma to crack open that high ground advantage, and they did it there with a nano boost instantly.
Yeah, very nice play, but that's 72% off the clock. With Vertigo just respawning now in a few seconds time because she had to remake. This is okay for Beastie Boys again. They pulled out the nano boost, but great work from Enigma, as we saw in the last round, not throwing too many ultis at these team fights. They still have 4, make that 3 now, as Assassin throws out his ultimate in the bag, and let's see if they can get it done as Blur pops the Primal Rage.
It's big, though, that Enigma's the one dropping ultimates, but Beasty Boys is the ones coming out with the kills. Now they've got a nano booster challenge into this high ground, and the same attempted hold was there from Enigma, but getting battered around there. Stalker going to making short work of that, really causing chaos and consternation here in the supportive backline, and Kiri cleans up.
But you saw the mistake there. Look where Blur was trying to take that team fight out in front of the point. Their real damage is on the high ground, waiting for targets, and no one's coming through because they're busy dealing with Blur on the front line. And once they get that kill, they move on and clean up very effectively. So now 95 on the clock here, Altruism, looking very good for BBA with the Tac Fires in the mix.
Desperate attempt by Jelly Doodle to try and make something happen on the point here. Blur's gone down straight away, getting controlled up. It seems like Enigma just threw everything as early as possible into this fight. And Beastie Boys has managed to flex well. They've got a big anti-heal grenade on the back line. It is going to go, Mali going to be going down here, but Kiri constantly doing so much damage. Here comes a nice pulse bomb stick here from Trizzle onto Fluffy in the back line. And Enigma falling down while Beastie Boys gets reinforced. The res comes out and picks Stalker back up. Toxin Socks valiantly trying to fight it out here, even has the baby diva for just a second to reinforce him. Blur's managed to reinforce the fight now, has actually gotten into the face, but taking huge amounts of damage, basically surrounded by red players right now. Beastie Boys yet again reinforced. They just need to clean off this point. Enigma desperately trying to stall it out right now. We've got Fluffy on the Lucio, going to get taken down systematically. S/JDB goes down as well. And finally, Beastie Boys clear it up.
Yeah, a really nice play from Newt there, controlling down Blur. That anti-heal onto him as he came in was such a huge problem for him. He couldn't get aggressive like he wanted to. Also, shout out to Smiley there, who did some really nice work on the Mercy. Getting that vertical jump, it's quite a precise input if you're not used to playing Mercy, and managed to get out there. And then move back in for the res as well onto Stalker. I think that really brought him back into that team fight. So we don't get to see a ton of strong Mercy play, not really a perspective we look through very often, Altruism, but very impressed with what I saw from Smiley there. And I think it really helped pull them back into what was a very tough team fight and put Enigma in an awkward spot. They had to kind of trickle in one by one because they were on the back foot, and BBA managed to clean up. So we're going the distance here on Oasis.
I love this. The two teams we said were going to be close, and they're showing it here. Beastie Boys at this stage, in that last match anyway, just using something like the Smiley Mercy to leverage any advantage that they got. If they managed to take a fight out in the middle of nowhere where Blur goes a little bit aggressive on the Winston, tries to primal rage through everything with no damage. Now Blur going on to the much more reliable Reinhardt front line. Kyria, Trizzle going to be trying to get into the back line with the Tracer to get around that shield. Stalker just keeping the distance. And now comes the teleport up. Jelly Doodle didn't even talk about it, but they run straight into Beastie Boys and lost Blur very quickly at the beginning of this fight. Vertigo trying valiantly with the Sigma shield to mitigate some of the damage, but Kiri stays so far out of reach. They're able to just rain in damage from above. Stalker now trying to clean up the backline. Vertigo is still left pretty much alone here, has used all of his cooldowns and now could take a bit of damage if he holds us out. Blur, Stalker going into the backline. Here comes Blur with the charge to the center, but a triple kill from Kiri cleans up the point very quickly for Beastie Boys. And does Enigma really want to even recontest here?
Not right now. I think you just got to wait. But, I mean, really, you got to look to Newt and say, you just won that team fight for your team. As the teleport comes in, everyone suddenly purple. Blur gets absolutely deleted on the front line. And this comp without a Reinhardt is so hard to play. They're relying on him to be the front line, to put the damage down. But you also look at the way Beastie Boys again are playing. They're just making space for their position on the high ground. That's a great move from Enigma, getting on top of Newt like that.
Some pathing choices coming out really favorable. But then taken apart by Alt Economy. The Tactical Visor drop, the Pulse Bomb drop, the Primal Rage all being dropped here by Beastie Boys. Manages to keep them, and Blur throws down the Earth Shatter straight into the bubble. Doesn't kick up anyone and throws away what could have been their key team fight ultimate for the next round as Beastie Boys holds onto it again.
I think it's not that key of an ultimate in the sense that it's going to be tough to get multiple targets with how split up this lineup is playing if you can't get on top of the Ana Soldier combo on the high ground. But we're gonna have to wait and see, because now they've got a ton of ultimates. Enigma, they did throw Blur's ulti in, but they've got so many more to work with, so let's see if they can get anything done.
How do they want to approach this? They do manage to freeze up the Diva and then get down that Blizzard onto the point, but it seems like Beastie Boys just avoiding it completely, taking out whatever kills that they can from a distance. Big pickup from Vertigo now. The two tanks still alive from Enigma, want to try and lead this out for a bit, but they've got no support. It's Blur now going down. He gets a nice pin off, but into the Primal Rage. You're going to go down very quickly. Assassin JDB trying valiantly now, but has to actually get out, and again, the May just not being able to control the space well enough. It's Beastie Boys controlling this whole area. Enigma somehow back on the points, trying.
Not able to get in. Are they going to get the kill? Not able to get that kill. Vertigo now going to drop out of mix. She switched onto the Diva, away from the Sigma. It didn't feel like it was working after that Flux went down, and struggling Enigma here. This has been a dominant performance. I mean, they came into that team fight altruism as the overtime ticks down. They're not able to get that. Blur will get the touch here, but he's such low HP. Smiley has the Gat out running straight at the main tank. You know things are going wrong when that's happening, and Beastie Boys again, the cleanup needs to come here altruism.
Again, it's a couple of very mobile heroes that are annoying for a little bit, and then you get Stalker on top of them. You get so much damage that's eventually going to clean up the point. And that kind of strikes me as what Enigma did for most of that. They didn't have a clear team fight win. They didn't go, they tried some interesting pathing things. They went, okay, we're going to symmetric teleport onto the point. That instantly got countered by Beastie Boys. They tried to then path onto the high ground, use stuff like the wall to take advantage there with the Ryan and the May. But instantly, these ultimates coming out constantly. Kiryu has been doing such an amazing amount of work, putting in damage and reacting to how Enigma's trying to approach any fight, that Beastie Boys wins.
Yeah, no. What stands out to me, absolutely, sorry, the no was no, I agree. Sorry, this is just disagreeing.
South African language, it just works like that. No, we got it.
Exactly. You guys get where I'm coming from. I think what stands out for me seriously is how the strategy is playing out with the Beastie Boys again. They're setting up their core, their squishy core in the back somewhere, right? It didn't quite work on University, and you could almost, looking back, you can understand kind of why that is. That point, or not University, sorry, Gardens. That point's not really a place where you can get set up in a place that's kind of off to the side, where the team doesn't really put that many resources to getting to. But you saw once we moved over to City Center, you stick Soldier, Brigitte, Ana on the high ground, and you let the tanks make space for you, right? And then we saw the same thing on University. You stick Soldier, Mercy, Ana on the high ground, and you let the tanks make space for you. And you saw Blur, he's having to play so aggressive to get up to that backline, because if you leave Kiri up there throwing in damage, you saw what he can do on the Soldier in that play of the game. We saw the way he was picking up kill after kill after kill in the team fight. If he's not being pressured, he is reliable enough in a very similar way to what we see Jelly Doodle often doing for Enigma. He's going to just clean up if you don't put the pressure on. So that's going to have to be the key here. How do you deal with that backline? Because the question is, do you deal with the front line and then go for the back line, or do you put resources into going straight for the front line and let the tanks from BBA run amok? And that's the question that Enigma has to come up with an answer to.
It breaks down to that. Kiri was getting, 2 kills per fight at least on average in that last round, so you got to deal with that threat. That's huge. But like you talked about, Enigma did once manage to crack it there on Oasis, where they got the nano-boosted Blur onto the high ground, was able to contest it and kind of break apart the lineup. Beastie Boys has been doing a pretty good job of holding patiently on the high ground, even when they had like Trizzle on the Reaper. Reapers often just get back to the high ground, get some health, and then they're off again, kind of thing. They don't wait and just protect and look what's happening in the fight. And they've been cycling that really, really well as Beastie Boys. And so it's taking a lot for Enigma, and they haven't been very successful, or at least consistently successful in being able to crack open that backline. Now we go to Numbani with one of the best, and I would say most sustainable backline corners. If you pick up above the point there, you get your Ana, your Soldier, your Brigitte to sit together on the high ground and let your other mobile tanks take care of the rest of the up and down, rest of the kill box.
Juggling the points.
I think that Enigma is going to have to solve the exact same problem they had a big problem with in the last round.
Yes, but it is different on a map type where that is expected, right? Oasis or Control, you don't necessarily see that play style have that much success all the time, right? There's a lot of different ways you can play control, but like you say, Numbani, we know you're going to stick some people on that back high ground. You're going to have some tanks that are pressuring the point and that are mobile, that can jump up and down. So that's something Enigma is a problem they've having. If you play Numbani, that's a problem you have to solve. Let's put it that way. So
how do they do it then? So now that we know what they've got to do, how do they do it?
Well, I mean, you got to put pressure on that backline, or you have to deal with tanks. You have to do one or the other. But it seems like there's a bit of a disjointment in Enigma on whether they want to focus the tanks. We saw Blur going quite deep a lot of the time, trying to get onto that backline. But he needs to be playing with Vertigo a little closer, as well as their more flanky DPS or whoever they're going to play, which in this case is going to be Assassin on the Tracer. And make sure you are diving clinically, that you are hitting the targets you need to and executing the people you need to. The big targets here are going to be Smiley. We saw how if you keep her alive, she can pull out some magic in the mid fight. She might pick up a res on Stalker or a tank or something, or bring Kiri back up on the high ground when you're not watching. Newt as well, a big anti-heal, a big sleep here, that can really be disastrous for Enigma. So those are your two big targets. You take them down, you should be able to clean up Beastie Boys.
It's definitely going to come down to that pick first. We see Enigma on the defense has taken up that exact sort of protect the soldier in the corner. Jelly Doodle has a lot of work there, and between the healing grenade and the fluffy boost as well, it's going to be difficult for Beastie Boys to jump in here, and it's going to be up to now the poke and prod game. Oh, that's a big anti-heal grenade to start it off. Fluffy has gone down at the very beginning, and both of the supports now down for Enigma. This could end up being a battle of attrition for Beastie Boys. They've had some suffering of their own, but Blur now sitting with no HP on the point, getting picked apart piece by piece, and Trizzle and Assassin pretty much being the only ones now to... Oh, Assassin actually goes off the edge, has to recall back and into the middle of the fight. But not a lot of resources left. Gonna probably get chewed down by the rest of Beastie Boys. And a very nice engagement after that early pick.
And again, there you see Kiri picking up a double towards the end of that. If he can get set up on a high ground somewhere on the soldier, he's going to dominate. Now we watch Sherry. He's going to try and do the same. He's going to try and allow his team, but he's not there. And Blur's already initiated. Now when he starts putting the damage in and he goes down. So you can see straight away altruism, just a little bit of a disjointment there for Enigma. Not quite as polished as we see Beastie Boys again looking with that same kind of strat.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate that before we carry on with the analysis. Kiri coming through at the end of this, where there should have been no more question of any more people dying for Enigma there, and he picks up a triple kill on the retreat out. And then it just allows more space. This is fantastic. Enigma knows what to do, but they're just not being able to execute. I don't know if it's Beastie Boys shutting them down too quickly or double pulse bomb, one from each side. They're going to try and create something here. Enigma just not really stopping the payload, though. It's moving because Beastie Boys is taking the fight to the face of Enigma at the beginning of everything. Now Enigma going to try and really contest this payload, and Newt going to be under a lot of pressure very quickly. Blur actually goes down, and the nano boost having to be dropped now onto Vertigo just to try and stall out the payload is going to get some damage. Has to worry about the self-destruct. Going to be throwing a self-destruct of her own into the other side. Can he get back in? Triple kill with Vertigo self-destruct and getting back into the Meg. May have just pulled this out the bag for Enigma.
Okay, relax, lady. And they're going to get the stagger here onto Amali as well. So you see the way they were playing, they kind of knew they had to get to point here, as we see Stalker getting a little bit aggressive here, but he should just be backing off, and he will do that. But they kind of felt like we need to get to that point. You mentioned it, right? It was moving the whole time, and they got into the front line. They committed the nano to keep Vertigo alive, and once she got that ultimate, but that was a Hail Mary play, altruism. That was a bailout, and if Beastie Boys keep playing the way they are, Enigma are going to struggle to stem the bleeding here.
You know, over my time in learning the South African Overwatch community, there've been a couple of things that I've learned to, you go for that Hail Mary play, and it's Vertigo who pulls those things out all the time. Now Blur, desperately falling low, has to retreat back to the team, is actually going to be able to revert back to normal form, going to get that bubble down soon, and Assassin JDB trying to dodge back and forth inside. Yeah, Kiri's got the tac visor out, but actually going to go down. There's the main kill threat from Beastie Boys down, and Jelly Doodle now going to be able to get some work done as the soldier on the other side comes up into the kill feed with that tac visor, trying to pick down the Mercy. Smiley gets to the back line, and then we see the aggression coming out from Enigma. They don't want to let Beastie Boys be able to regroup at any stage. Don't want to overextend too far. Here comes a big res. Newt going to be able to come back into this fight, so Enigma needs to be careful about the re-engage. But Vertigo has another Miracle Bomb waiting.
She does indeed, and we'll have to see if she can, miracles happen twice here. I haven't read the Bible. I'm not sure quite what the odds are, but we'll have to see if she can get it down. But Enigma have found a rhythm here. You can see the way that Beastie was going to play. That looks pretty good. Doesn't find anything. The remake will come through for Vertigo. So Enigma have found something a little bit different here, but I think it's more that Beastie Boys again can't rely on the strategy they've been using of sticking Kira on a high ground somewhere and letting him do the work while the tanks make space. As Jelly drops now, Vertigo drops as well. So Vertigo, Beastie Boys again have finally found an opening.
Yeah, this whole fight is devolving into a lot of chaotic semi-fights here and there, and so you never know. Two people could be killed on one side, but the rest of the fight gets chewed apart, and this is going to be a big play from Beastie Boys here. They're just pushing on to the last moments of the payload and clean it up so quickly. Enigma almost a rushed recontest there, and are going to pay with everyone's lives.
Oh no, Vertigo going to drop as well. If that were them, I just wouldn't kill her. Yeah, she's going to have to hop off the map here and remake the old-fashioned way with the respawn. Assassin on the flank here, but Beastie Boys again, they are not making any mistakes. When they see an opening, they are pouncing on the targets they need to, getting the kills they need to, and Enigma are not playing perfectly in response. They're getting caught out, they're getting opened up, and good start here, committing a lot of ulti to keep this one going. A great sleep. I think he was working up though.
He was working up. I think they thought they could chew him through too quickly, but Fluffy with the big nano boost to save Blur in the front lines just creates some opportunity. Beastie Boys has managed to flex back though, and they're coming back. Kiri's still on the board, putting out so much damage, and Blur keeps getting chewed down at this stage. Not a lot of healing that you can do to out-heal that most of the time. Does manage to get back to cover, but it's the rest of the team getting chewed down so quickly. Blur even gets pulse bombed there, does manage to get out for a little bit. Jelly Doodle hoping against hope that this attack visor can come out big, and actually is doing a huge amount of work, stays alive through that, gets a double kill, and Beastie Boys stopped in their tracks.
You see the kind of confidence Kiri's playing with here, right? The attack visor soldier, he's still peeking in, hoping he can get the kills as they get a late pick on Newt on the way out there. But the Beastie Boys are playing with such confidence here, but they're not playing with that dumb aggression that you sometimes see from lower level teams. They're playing smart. They're seeing opportunities. They're getting that one pick and then twisting the knife, going deeper and deeper and deeper without overextending too much as the card continues to move forward. Pulse bomb pulled out here, so look at the ult bank for them as well. Just the one to go for each side, and they're going to have to use this Power Rangers Blur once again dropping early.
That's big. Enigma's two tanks got caught out. Beastie Boys surrounding them and really isolating them, jumping on top with everything that they got. Kind of breaks that front line from Enigma. And now Enigma are going to be hard pressed to hold on to this. Jelly Doodle and Toxin Socks both going to go down into this. Now Kiri throws out the tactical visor, trying to chew through any small targets, especially something like the Trace that does manage to eventually find it. And Trizzle going to find the pulse bomb stick there. Just these DPS from Beastie Boys having so much space to work that they're getting in so much value here. Nano Booster Brigida onto the point now. Toxin Socks trying to hold on to this. Does eventually go down, and that's the final touch. Enigma aren't able to stop it before it gets there with more than a minute left on the clock.
Man, can we talk about Kiri's tracking? My guy is playing on 150 FPS, not FPS, maybe he's playing on 150 FPS, but he's playing on 150 ping just like the rest of us, right? Because we have the minimum latency enabled here, and he's based in South Africa. So, I mean, that is unreal tracking from the man here. And you can see the effect it's having on how Enigma has to play. They're a little bit lost because his positioning is good enough that they can't just get on top of him on the side of Enigma. The tanks are just being so oppressive, Stalker and Amali, and the supports are being evasive enough to buy time for the tanks to do work and for Kiri to put down the damage and for Trizzle to be a nuisance in Enigma's backline. And these fights are so chaotic and so disjointed because that's the way Enigma wants to play. It looks disjointed and chaotic, but Kiri is always in a position to pump in damage from the high ground, from across the sight lines, and he's just mowing down the players on Enigma, and it's working so well. But we saw they struggled just a little bit. There was a bit of a hiccup in the middle of Numbani here on the streets phase, and that's where the sightlines are not so long and easy to get access to because of where Enigma was holding on that forward high ground. That's where Kiri wants to be, right? He wants to run up that staircase, get on that high ground, and start shooting across to where the cart needs to end up. So if that needs to be the key here for Enigma. Hold those positions that Kiri wants to be in, that Newt wants to hang out in. And I think that's how you're going to have to try and win this one.
I'm interested in this because you have to hold those positions, but when they're already set up there, whereas Beastie Boys is now on this high ground, how do you get them off there? And look at this mobility. The entire team just swaps high ground, going from one side to the other. That's a huge pick from Assassin JDB in the beginning. Gets all 3 bombs stuck onto Trizzle and then finishes off with a focusing beam. And now coming through with the second round of cooldowns is going to be able to put on some pressure. They've spotted out the Mercy on the left-hand side. Smiley getting taken down so quickly, and Newt also getting cleaved apart. Enigma seemed to have broken the strategy for how to get on that high ground, and it's led by this Echo.
Yeah, you see what Beastie Boys can't afford to do? Oh my god, Kiri, what are we... here's the problem. Where's this man been the whole time? Messing around in the backline here with Jelly Doodle, and now we'll go down. But what he's done is he's pulled Blur back and bought space for his team to get back. He's still alive. The supports are keeping him healthy. Eventually he drops, but now his body's on the point here for Beastie Boys again.
Was certainly an amazing attempt at a recontest there, just, putting everyone, distracting the team for long enough that we can get members on the point, and it seems to have worked. There's, in fact, more people from Beastie Boys now being able to come back in. They've got to go Primal Rage. Amali going to be dropping that self-destruct in the center of the point, trying to clear it out, just stop everyone. Jelly Doodle gets a good stick. Trizzle starts to cleave apart the back line of Toxin Socks. And it seems like both of them trickling out at this stage. Beastie Boys have so little to work with, have to keep people on at every stage. But using this even just to chew out the time bank is huge. Enigma would have loved to have cleared this out so much earlier. And Amani actually going to be going down into the Baby Diva form, still being kept alive, could actually be taken out by the Echo. No, and Fury comes back and chews through what's left of Enigma.
And you see what's happening here. They have to put so many resources into killing Kiri, and that the supports and Beastie Boys again are like, well, we're just gonna pump resources into keeping him alive because our tanks are stellar. Like, we're talking up the DPS, but the tanks are making space for them. Stalker is being a monster on that front line, as we've seen him be so many times before. So you can't just ignore him and focus on Kiri because he's going to come in and cleave your back line if you let him. So this is a real tough spot for Enigma. This Beastie Boys Agane squad, man, this is some scary stuff.
Vertigo starting us off with a miracle Hail Mary Diva Bomb into the open, and both the supports go down instantly, but being traded so quickly from both sides. It's really just Assassin JDB and the rallying Toxin Sock with the duplicate. We see, the point gets taken there. Beastie Boys step off for just a second, and it is going to be Enigma managing to pick that point up. Still having to fight it out at the end here, but get the payload moving.
Again, kind of feeling a little bit fortunate there for Enigma, right? You felt like, I think they were probably going to win that fight, but the way that Beastie Boys again have been stalling out, you wouldn't give up that opportunity to throw a body in.
You never know,
right? Exactly.
You never know.
Exactly. And now they've switched onto the double hit scan here. You can see what the game plan is. 100% control the high ground with the Cowboy and the Soldier. Allow the Mercy to move around freely. And gets to play a huge stick.
Jelly Doodle just spots the 1,000-yard glare there and knows exactly which target they're going for. Gets across, he gets the stick, and Smiley now picking up the gat, trying to make something work. The stall out attempt is coming in here. That trying with this Baby Diva actually keeps Somali up for a little bit. Nearly gets it back into mech. Stalls out the payload, and 2 minutes 50. Do you believe this is enough time to get all the way to the end with how Beastie Boys has been playing?
I think it's enough time, but I don't think they'll beat Beastie Boys against time. But we'll have to wait and see. They struggled on the second point the last time as well, and they were set up quite well. It's going to take those kind of plays, like we saw from Jelly Doodle, to break through this Beastie Boys Agane squad. If you can throw in a big pulse bomb, a big Diva ulti like we saw as Blur again dropping early.
Oh, this is an interesting fight here. Beastie Boys decided to not recontest before the point had ticked. And so Enigma are going to be happy that they've got their early respawns. And Beastie Boys still win out the fight at the end there. So they are going to take control of the payload. But they have given a little bit more of the time bank over to Enigma.
Look at how they're defending, though. They're holding, like, they're still defending that second point, right? They're holding this forward position because they know if they can get the players set up on the high grounds like this and just allow the tanks to play this kind of game, it's going to work for them. But Smiley dropping first, that's a big, big problem for BBA.
You have to worry. The game plan was there. Toxin Socks hit the rally, and that was the go button. Everyone from Enigma rushes forwards, and they seem to have corralled now, just closing that distance and that space so decisively onto Beasty Boys to shut down any opportunity of Beasty Boys being able to hold this out, even Stalker being taken out on the back line. And just taking a second to admire their work.
Yeah. You really gotta just enjoy the moments that Stalker's not alive if you're Enigma here. Of course, Stalker, a former teammate of many or most of these players on Enigma, so there's a little bit of, no bad blood per se, but always happy to show a former teammate that they made the wrong decision by leaving.
Always fun to do that. We see a lot of ultimates coming down from both sides. Trizzle gets one on the Cowboys high noon. It is Toxin Socks, and still losing a lot. Beasty doesn't really have much support here, and so while they can try and trickle and move around the back lines, they do have to worry about being whittled down. Blur just gets off the primal rage there, being able to stay alive, and actually uses that to turn the pressure around. Now going to go into Newt on the back line, not creating any space, juggles perfectly there to take out the Ana, and gets back on to reinforce the point. Now this is Enigma wanting to push this all the way. They've actually got a much bigger time bank than Beasty Boys has, and so Beasty Boys desperately want to hold out for as long as possible, even just to chew this to a more even second round. Vertigo here just cleaning up, just tracking down Stalker the whole way. Usually Smiley with the Valkyrie coming back into this. Can they get off a miracle res here? Do they even want to? Trying to get out of the fight there. Newt coming in with the Moira actually turns the tide a little bit here, creates some big space for Beasty Boys to hold on to this, and suddenly Enigma taking all the casualties. Beasty Boys is held in with 0.6 meters.
Oh man, that was a stalwart miracle defense there, and all it takes is one kill. Trizzle came out, got the pick and on Tox, and you could immediately see it started to unravel from there. The healing is limited from that point on. Fluffy, he's going to struggle to keep every player on the team alive in a chaotic situation like that. You really want that AoE inspire healing from the Brigitte, and that really was the key, and it's been the key throughout the series. One pick can spell the end, and that's something you see from top-level teams all the time. All they need is one pick, one mistake, and that opens it up. And once again, it's Blur to drop first.
And it is the rest of his team, though. He's created the space needed. Jelly Doodle going to work there, being able to take out both of the supports from Beasty Boys. Amali going to get back into the mech and gets shoot out straight away. Stalker was slept during the primal rage, so he wasn't able to really contest for too much. There is some reinforcement now coming out from Beasty Boys. Kiri trying with the Death Blossom, but gets booped away. Huge play from Toxin Socks there to just shift them to the sides. Now controls him up out of the Wraith form, and going to be taken down eventually. It is Enigma clearing through here. Still a couple of members from Beasty Boys, and you can never contest them when they're trying to stall this out. They always do something more. A stick as Trizzle dumps across there, and Jelly Doodle clears up the last bit. Beasty Boys not going to be able to hold down. Did manage to at least cleave through a lot of the time bank, and in fact getting the Wrecking Ball back on point. Stalker is there to create something. Enigma, please, you've got 10 seconds before overtime. You've got to be able to clear out this point and take the advantage that has been so hard fought, and they're not managing to do it. 3 seconds left. Beasty Boys coming in, getting all the kills, even the replicated assassin JDB trying to get this. Round 2 complete. They managed to push
they made it. Oh my god. I thought BBA had control of that once they got those couple of kills. Assassin, though, on the ball had me so confused for a second there, the duplicated ball. But he came in, popped the mines, and I think that kind of pushed them over the edge there, zoned out BBA from being able to get that touch and allowed Enigma to push the point through. But there was a moment there where Scars, our observer, jumped back to see both supports for Enigma running back to the point, and that's where you're thinking, maybe BBA have done this, right?
Yeah.
We spoke about how you take down Toxin and Brigitte, and suddenly Fluffy has to work twice as hard. But if Fluffy's also dead, they have no healing on the point. How did they manage to grind that one out? But they did manage to do that. Shout out to Jelly Doodle on the Tracer, really showing up big on that final push there. Huge stick onto Trizzle's own Tracer, which is something you so seldomly see. And really, really strong play from both teams there. But I think BB are going to be happy with that. Obviously, it's draw or nothing here. Draw or a loss for Enigma, because they weren't able to cap in without going into overtime. So we might have a draw here.
Considering the fact that Enigma actually had 2 minutes left on the clock and they were 0.6 meters away, Enigma would have loved to have got that out in regulation time. Beastie Boys, like you say, very happy that they drew it out so long. And I think they're going to be sad that they didn't manage to full hold it there, or at least hold it just before the end. But such a good play coming out from Assassin on that replicating. And it comes down to now in this fight, who's going to lose those supports first? Oh no, Kiri goes down. Fluffy going to get traded out the other way. The resurrection comes out into Kiri. Here's your second chance. You've got to make this count now. Are you going to be able to replicate all those kills that you've been getting the whole time? Now Kiri goes down again. It's going to be Enigma being able to get so much out of this. Blur for once not going to be the first one down in the fight, and just proving what happens when they don't focus down Blur, when he's supported by the rest of the team. Vertigo there to support with the double kill as well, gives so much space, and Enigma look like they are going to be actually able to push away.
That's a huge leap.
16 seconds left on the clock, and Enigma looks healthy.
If Beastie Boys win this, I honestly think that it was that sleep we just saw from Newt. If Vertigo goes down, Kiri's got now, that's a huge problem. There's enough time for BBA to get in. If they get the toucher, which they will with the ball, they could conceivably push this one back.
Blur gets anti-healed and gets chewed down, focused by Beastie Boys. They've got Stalker on the point, just being able to stall it out. And Mali also taking that pressure on themselves as the Wrecking Ball. Jelly Doodle's got to get something big from the Sacrifice. Doesn't have the health to work with, though.
So
not even push it. Assassin JDB, can you get a miracle stick here? You've got a lot of people on the backline. You don't want to try and go for that rampaging monkey right now. Trying desperately to find the Ana. Throws the pulse bomb, doesn't get the stick, but does get the kill. Newt goes down, and that means Stalker doesn't have the healing that they're going to need. Comes out of Primal Rage, and Vertigo and Jelly Doodle managing to do the work. Assassin JDB clears through it, and Beastie Boys gets taken down to a draw.
Wow, that was just some seriously what's the word, resilient play from Enigma there. I thought Beastie Boys had that when they came in. When they get that initial pick onto the baby diva, that's Kiri's life so much easier, right? Without Vertigo putting the pressure on, and we'll see here Vertigo, the woman herself, throwing in this one. This was kind of a turning point for Enigma. I think Altruism winning this team fight helped them stall that point out for a little bit longer, and kind of gave them some eye to how to solve the problem that Beastie Boys again were presenting them with. But I think when they got that initial kill onto Vertigo, I thought it was over from there. I thought, well, how do you stop Kiri at that point? You just can't. But Ulti's coming in at just the right moment there. That pulse bomb kill onto the Ana, or Newton's Ana, was critical as well. And this is a good sign for Enigma. A draw, sure, but they're managing to hold off. They're managing to claw back some of the momentum now. I think winning, not losing there in a position where you were from quite far behind is very good for their mental as we move into Dorado.
Oh, that we said from the beginning that this was going to be a close competition, and I don't think we can get much closer. You know, we look for standout players. We're going Kiri, yes, highlighting up that kill feed constantly. But it's not the only one. Jelly Doodle doing so much work. Assassin JDB getting some key replicate targets. We see Blur sometimes when he goes in aggressive and he gets into that backline and has a little bit of space, doesn't get hit by a big anti-heal grenade or something like that, is able to cleave apart some of the Beastie Boys. You know, if you time that aggression well, the supports are all staying alive for so long, and when they go down, you can instantly see that impact in the team fights. If one of the DPS is able to get that pick onto Smiley, onto Fluffy, Toxin Socks, we've talked about a couple of times, you take out the Brigida at the beginning and you take away that AoE healing. Newt staying alive for so long, being able to reinforce Stalker and Amali. And then as Newt gets taken down by the pressure plays, I think it was Jelly Doodle on the Tracer at that stage. Or I think actually that was Assassin on the Tracer at the end there of Dorado.
Yes, because Jelly was on the Soldier,
Newt was under so much pressure, and eventually that's a pulse bomb that's thrown desperately to where the Ana's running, picks apart that team fight and allows Enigma to take the last fight. Everyone coming through to a huge extent here. And Dorado, another very vertical map, another very interesting mobile map. I can't believe we're just 1 point, effectively, one match into this.
Yeah, we still got a long way to go here. We're at least going to go to 4 maps, if not more. And you look at this map, like Numbani, you're kind of favoring Beastie Boys again here, right? But we saw on Numbani that Enigma can find a solution, and they did there. So The question is, how does Beastie Boys respond? Do they need to respond? I don't think Beastie Boys again needs to change their play style or their compositions or how they're choosing to approach the series. I think they just need to make sure that they don't lose easy picks at the beginning of team fights. We saw the effect that had, right? One fight, Smiley went down, the fight unfolded from there. One fight, Kiri went down, the fight unfolds there. From there, the tanks from Beastie Boys are doing an incredible job of not jumping in too aggressively and getting picked off early, like we see Blur sometimes doing for Enigma. And if they can just keep their backline from dropping, that's going to help them hold these forward points. But that's obviously the whole of Enigma's game plan. Shut down one of those players. That's what I said they needed to do at the beginning of Numbani. You asked me, what do they need to do? And I said, you need to shut down one of these supports. And I think that is still the key here. But now we see a different look coming out of Beastie Boys again here. They're going to forego the aggressive tanks. They're going to go now instead with the Orisa. So even more emphasis on holding position.
No, definitely. I think the Orisa was just baiting them out there and actually giving some space.
Oh, they're on a
correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Kiri was the
hit scan.
The hit scan, and Trizzle would have been taking out the Pharah there, but swapping it around. Trizzle goes down at the beginning of the fight, so not an early pick there like Beastie Boys would have wanted. Gonna have some more in a second, and I think these picks could come so quickly from Beastie Boys, and if they're able to carry on leveraging that, they need to worry about Assassin in the backline though. Has gotcha and put so much pressure. Molly gonna go down, getting D-Max straight away. Creates opportunities. Enigma yet again looking like they're getting the small advantages, looking quite comfortable, not threatened just yet by Beastie Boys' attempt at aggression. Here comes some opportunities. Blurs goes down quite dangerously in the front line, but actually has the confidence to stick around, knows that they've got the healing. Trizzle doesn't seem to be getting too much, has managed to pick up Toxin Socks, but does get back to the team, gets a nice flick shot onto Vertigo into the air. This could be the first chance for Beastie Boys to start moving forward.
Yeah, very nice play from both teams here. But you see what the problem is here. With the short spawns, the way that Enigma are playing, they can just grind out a team fight here. BBA are happy just to get pick after pick after pick. With how long it takes Enigma to get back in here, if Trizzle's going to pop heads like that, one after another. Oh my god, let's look at the man, Scars. I want to see what he's doing.
He's getting the off angles right now. We're sitting waiting for the Assassin JDB pulse bomb attempts to try and come through here. Kiri also got a barrage, so we're waiting on here. So Beastie Boys has a lot in the tank. They've even got Smiley to keep them up with that Valkyrie for a long time if they need to. Nano boost, all of these big playmaking ultimates. Trizzle tries for the shot, actually does manage to take out Assassin JDB. Kiri coming in over the top with a double barrage now to try and punish the aggression that came onto Trizzle for the punishment of taking down Assassin JDB. And Enigma, it doesn't matter who you focus, there are so many people from Beastie Boys popping off right now.
Yeah, that's the hallmark of a scary team, right? You can't ignore a single player. Maybe no, not even Smiley. If you let her do a thing, oh no.
The pistol, it's going to come out and it's going to hit you in the face. She's got Valkyrie. She's coming in here.
Playing DPS. So really, that is the mark of a very scary team. Honestly, all of these players can make huge plays, and it's about Enigma working better as a unit. I think that's really the key for me. Is now Blur pops the Primal Rage, going to look to get aggressive here on the backline.
Again, this aggression coming out from Beastie Boys, just wanting to take control of that high ground, and this is Enigma's one chance to really try to contest that. They've got Jelly Doodle on the high ground, gets two with the tag visor, that's huge. The rest of Beastie Boys going to have to just run for the hills as Enigma managed to take control of that high ground, using that aggression from Blur to push them off. And now just picking off kills for no reason.
I was like, what are we doing? But she has to run in and die so she can remake. Yeah, that very important play there from Enigma, because now they can control this high ground on their own with the soldier. Kiri's going to struggle to get value here if it's not careful. Oh, Trizzle just gets around the corner there. Lucky not to die from that, but they've lost one. Assassin has gone down.
Yeah, Vertigo, always happy to see you throw those out. We know that they pay off so often here, and certainly has a lot of resources in the background. Enigma being able to clean through like this. Trizzle does manage to finally take out the Baby Diva, looking for a pick onto the high ground, but there's no one really left there. Even if you do manage to get someone, Smiley going to be able to take out one, and Jelly Doodle punishes Trizzle's peeking there, being able to predict that Helix Helix rocket into the face there, and Kiri trying to find an angle to get this barrage off. Getting so low, 4 damage. Jelly Doodle manages to take it off at the end there. Just ignores the chaos that's going on the high ground around him to be aware to go there. Here comes a bomb over the top of Marley, trying to make something work. Doesn't get anyone. A quick reaction from Enigma saves them. They're able to regroup onto this high ground. They're looking very strong, being able to stall out this payload for a long time here. Beastie Boys not really managing to find too much with this pick-based lifestyle. And it could come down to that difference in spawns that you were talking about in the first round. You cannot be as chaotic as you want to because it's not paying off.
No, they're slowly moving the cart forward here. Beastie Boys again. Trizzle finds the shot onto Jelly. Can they shut down the res here, or is Tox going to bring him back to life? It's not looking like it's about to happen here. Vertigo has to try and get out. No, D-Mick 93% on the self-destruct. Now going to move on to point, see if she can pick up any kills. Just buy some time for the team, but just grinding out these team fights, using their superior spawn position here, BBA, to slowly keep the cart moving forward. And now they've got the high ground position. Now Trizzle can sit up here and start to rain damage in from a distance, and Blur, he recognized exactly what the target needs to be.
But he hasn't been able to get on top of anyone right now. Jelly Doodle, though, has got all the space, takes out yet again Smiley and Trizzle, the duo that keeps being destroyed here by the fantastic work from Blur, at least from Jelly Doodle. The rest of Enigma, though, looking quite under pressure right now. Kiri coming through onto the kill feed there. Tempted stick goes onto the ground there, not really being able to get anything. An assassin has to run for the hills. Vertigo does make some work into the backline and even gets the remake kill onto Trizzle's Tracer here. And Amali might have to use the self-destruct to try clear some space here. Gonna hang around it. Smiley gets the space there. The attempted raise does cancel it halfway through, though. Just trying to save up that Valkyrie to get back to the team.
They get the D-Mick on Vertigo there, so she's going to have to probably run off the map here on the left-hand side, which is kind of unfortunate. Okay, no, Trizzle will pick up that kill, so they are man down, and that is high ground control seeded in a lot of ways. Without 2 tanks putting the pressure on onto the high ground, that might make it difficult for Enigma to keep control. And you can see here, Kiri's taking an angle now, looking for an angle to get the attack visor. He pops it here from around the wall, going to look for some damage.
Just optimistically hoping someone's sitting out vulnerable on the high ground. Doesn't really manage to get anything, but has at least secured the space for the team to try and focus down Vertigo. Vertigo goes down very, very quickly. Toxin Socks coming with the res, coming through with the Mercy, showing that Smiley's not the only one who can do it. And Beastie Boys has lost a lot of their sustainability right now. Kiri, the only one with any sort of healing back on the field here. And it's going to be really left alone on this high ground. Tries to chew down people, but it has to deal with a nano-boosted Diva now coming into the face. Fluffy not scared to throw that out to secure the final point here for Enigma.
Yeah, really, really nice play from Enigma here. You can see once they get set up, they're able to use Beastie Boys' own strategy. I mean, I'm presenting this like it's some genius strategy they came up, but it's a pretty common way to play Overwatch. But it's really about how strong you are at executing that strategy. And so far, it's been all Beastie Boys. But Enigma is showing now that once they get set up in these positions, they're able to take these chaotic team fights and draw it out. I think Beastie Boys are going to be okay with how that went, but they're struggling now to keep the core healthy, in the sense that players are dropping off the sides of that core and getting picked off, and it's hard when you're on the attack to just get set up in that position and put the damage out. But Enigma and Blur especially has found a much better rhythm alongside Vertigo of pressuring the backline, and I think some of them has to do with the fact that they're playing the ball on the side of BBA, which is not quite as good as the Winston is at directly focusing a target, picking a target and putting the pressure on and taking them down. He kind of wants to move around, creating chaos all throughout the map. And I wonder if you wouldn't switch back to the Winston here, just to give you that precision that we've been seeing Beastie Boys employ so well this far.
Beastie Boys looks really good when they've got a set game plan. When they've got a course set up in a certain place, they know how to play around that. When they're trying to move to the other place or trying to get set up somewhere, they don't really have a core to unify around. And that's kind of what the Winston offers as well, is we are attacking this position. We got a bubble here, we're fortified, we can shoot at this direction. Yeah. Our supports are a little bit safer. Stalker's not really going to be a unifying factor on a wrecking ball. It's going to create opportunities to try and knock someone into a good position. but not always going to be the one that the team rallies around. They do manage to hold the high ground here. Beastie Boys again looking really nice here. A nice little boop off there from Vertigo puts some people on pressure on the low ground, and in fact they're going to be able to shut down Amali. Still Kiri sitting on this high ground, looking quite comfortable, looking for off angles, gets pressure down a little bit more. And this is what you were saying about Enigma, just throwing Blur, throwing Vertigo into places that make the Beastie Boys attack just a little bit more uncomfortable. Toxin Socks looking after the back line really nicely, and now pushing up with this payload.
I think that is one of the keys, is the fact that Tox is on that Brigida a lot, really leaning on that hero, and that's keeping Fluffy healthy, and we see the effect that having a strong, healthy Ana has on your tank line. So far, it's been a big part of Beastie Boys Agane's success as we see the pressure put on the back line here.
And here's a good attempt at healing coming out from Smiley. Just stays up high and keeps everyone alive for Beastie Boys. But that's with them retreating out from the point. They've let the point go, and it's now Enigma coming forward. Remember that Enigma don't even have to push this full second point. Any sort of picks that they're getting at this stage. Vertigo! Oh. What is this triple self-destruct kill and get Somali's mech there? Effectively 4 kills coming out of that. Get ready to see that in the play of the game. Yet again, Vertigo pulls off a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely enormous play from Vertigo there. Second time in the series now we've seen a bailout Enigma, because they lost Blur right at the start there. Oh my gosh, that was a fadeaway shot there from Chisel. Just gets rid of Assassin like he's just a fly that's kind of inconvenient to deal with. There's J-Doodle now. You can see them getting set up on the high ground. They know exactly how they're playing, immediately they get it. Yes, they'll boop onto Stalker. So now an even harder defense here for Beastie Boys to try and set up.
And good awareness from Kiri now, just avoids the monkey in the front line, pops that tech visor and looks past their shoulder to get some damage into the back line, shuts down Jelly Doodle and Assassin JDB, and Shrizzle coming in on the Cowboy even manages to control a Blur for long enough to chew him down there. Newt on the high ground manages to stay alive for now, eventually gets taken down by that delayed damage tick from Fluffy, going to get rezzed up nice and healthy. So Beastie Boys are settling in for a very long defense.
Yeah, they got 4 minutes to hold this point. Perfect play is going to be what we have to see here for Beastie Boys again, because they have no room here. The cart's right there, and it looks like their style they want to play here is keep the aggression high, keep moving forward, keep the pressure off their squishy hitscan DPS in the back line here by playing on the front line as Kiri looks to put the damage in. Oh, takes quite the shot there from Jelly Doodle. Attack visor at the ready here. This could be a big part of what Enigma uses to win this team fight.
And a really nice way to pick off Kiri in the front line, but not being able to get out any of the other big kills here. Trizzle comes down with the high noon to snipe out Jelly Doodle. Toxin Socks also going to go down, and Vertigo under a lot of pressure here, surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of bombs on every side. Eventually, Stalker picks up the double kill there with those Hammond mines. Great way to secure the end of the points, and Beastie Boys reset.
Yeah, that's 1 minute down, right? That's a quarter of what you need to do done. And Enigma did throw a couple of ultis in there. They threw the attack visor, the pulse bomb as well. So they are committing here. You might want to see them play a little bit slower, hold up those ultis, because you know Beastie Boys again, they're going to have to throw ultis into each team fight. But now they have none to work with. Let it go over the top.
Vertigo manages to get the DMF kill and the kill onto Smiley there. That's going to be a big start for them. Yet again, the alley-oop sets up so much for Enigma to follow through. Just getting the slam dunk on top of that. And Stalker now having to be the one to try and get some sort of pile driver slams going for his team if he wants to turn around some of the damage. Both of the DPS down for Beastie Boys. Remember, Kiri going to be coming back in with that attack visor, but they need to stay alive for long enough to get him to the point. Beastie Boys falling so quickly at this stage. Jamali being chewed down. Kiri's back on point, has got the attack visor, isn't really getting a lot out of this. Instantly pressured, does manage to get Toxin Socks. Trizzle going to go down. Nice stick onto the Cowboy from Assassin JDB. It seems like Enigma going to clean up the rest of Beastie Boys and push it through for their first official points.
And that's the first map we've really seen one team look more dominant than the other tonight, Altruism. I think Enigma looked like Dorada was their map. They had a rhythm, they had a plan, they knew exactly how they wanted to play that, and it kind of shut down Beastie Boys' play. But again, I look towards Stalker on the Winston and raise questions. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I say it so much when watching local Overwatch, and they love to just break things that were working perfectly. And so I'd like to see him move back onto that Winston. But look, we don't know what's going on in their head. We don't know like what they are thinking, what they think is going to work. They might have played a ton of the ball and had it work for them. Sorry, my eye is like itching here. I apologize. Best time to switch to cams. So yeah, that's the question mark for me. Do we switch back, or was that really the best they could show, what we saw in Dorado?
I like what Beastie Boys is trying. Like you said, they had a lot of success on the Winston, and they went, let's try it a little bit differently. We're struggling with the way that Enigma's coming at us and bringing the fight to us. Because what I've got to applaud Enigma for is they have shown a lot of different variations. They tried the Reinhardt. They tried a May at the first point and on control point. They've tried, Symmetra TPs. They've tried the Winston. And this Winston lineup now, led by Blur very aggressively into the back line, backed up by Vertigo, when they get that synergy right, Enigma's actually looking really strong. And I think that Enigma has finally clicked into place what they need to do against this Beastie Boys. And when they hadn't figured it out in the beginning, Beastie Boys looked really strong, like really dominatingly. Then they kind of tied it out on Numbani, but that was, again, like an overtime draw. This one was not even close to Beastie Boys having a firm control over the game, let's say.
Yeah, the momentum is definitely shifting here slowly. As you said, Numbani, Oasis, Beastie Boys again won. Numbani was a draw. It's about the middle point of that momentum shift, and now Enigma is looking ultra strong. So the question is, what does Beastie Boys again change? Do they change anything? Again, I like what they're doing. I think their strategy is hot. I think they're using it very effectively. It's just key heroes dropping at the wrong time. And I think you stick Stalker back onto the Winston. It seems like Amali plays better alongside him when he's on that hero. And then you can really open things up for them a little bit more. And because remember, the key is make space for Kiri, make space for Newt, make space for those guys. That's how you're going to win these team fights. So if you can do that a little bit better with the Winston, then I would like to see that. And we are going to see, once we jump here into Volskaya, the Winston back for Stalker.
So do you think we're just going to translate all of those strategies that they've been using in the hybrid maps, in the payload maps? Do you think we just bring those, basically copy-paste, straight now into something like Volskaya? Obviously a 2CP, very different game mode. Does it all apply, and do you keep the same strategy and just try and make it work as best as you can, take the opportunities when you find them?
I think specifically Volskaya, if this was Anubis, it wouldn't be so easy because you don't have the high ground in the same way that you do on Volskaya. Both points, as we can see here, you've got high grounds on both sides that can rain the crossfire down from different angles throughout the map. And then on the second point, we know as well, it looks much the same, and that's the strength of Beastie Boys again on the defense. And on the attack, it's going to be up to Stalker and Mali to make the space for this man right here, the Cowboy, to find the damage.
Enigma just sitting quite comfortably back right now, not really wanting to get into the face. They're kind of baiting in Beastie Boys, giving Beastie Boys a bit of space. In fact, Mali's mech goes down and Kiri nearly follows after that, and just poking and prodding is all Enigma really needs to do right now. Stalling out the point very well. Mali is going to be able to get back into that mech, but Kiri goes down after, again, Jelly Doodle just leveraging this high ground advantage, just such effectiveness. And now we see Enigma starting to collapse in. Blur not afraid to run into the face. He gets the nice jump back kill onto Smiley. That's a great way to finish off the Brigida, take away that time. And Enigma looking very comfortable on defense.
Yep, so far looking uncontested, but Beastie Boys weren't really able to open up anything there, right? They lost 2 players on the way in. You're not really showing anything of what you can do, but that's Enigma's game plan here. That's what they want to do. They want to rain damage in from the high ground here with Assassin, JDB, Sphara, and make it difficult for them to come through, but they found an opening here, Beastie Boys have.
Yeah, Beastie Boys has such a small window that they can actually affect a lot of pressure onto their opponents, and they have to be very concerted and very unified in their attempts. And Beastie Boys seem to just be trying to push forward. They've been hesitant up until this point. They've managed to build up that nano boost, and Assassin JDB throwing in that barrage from behind just shuts down any sort of aggression coming in from Beastie Boys. They tried to make something work, but it seems like Enigma is just putting the pressure on too quickly. The Beastie Boys doesn't have the time.
Yeah, and it's about the spam coming through the chokes as well. If you're not getting killed, Beastie Boys need to be a lot faster. If they're not getting kills, Enigma are pumping damage from the angles they've set up. The crossfire on the right-hand side from Beastie Boys, it's the Pharah raining in damage. From the left-hand side, it's Jelly Doodle, and from the front line, it's the 2 tanks. So you need to deal with those tanks very quickly, but the Primal Rage Nano Boost makes that impossible now. Stalker does have his own though, so this is an opportunity for him to cut through.
I see Toxin Socks going up very quickly with the Valkyrie, trying to keep everyone alive, and that's a good preemptive move, just being able to also use that extra beam link to get to people, but still, Beastie Boys comes in aggressively. Toxin Socks goes for the aggressive raise, actually gets anti-healed as a result, and chewed down. Kiri coming through with the double kill to turn the pressure on here. Enigma having to really fight from behind now. Beastie Boys get some kills, double kill for Newt though. The Anna going crazy in the back line, taking out Assassin, JDB, and Blur, and that may be all that they wrote for Enigma here. Beastie Boy is going to be able to take this first point.
And the key there was really Stalker, right? He has the Primal Rage. He pulls all the attention on this top right corner here, and that allows the Beastie Boy squad to get through that choke that they've been held up in so effectively, get the kills and then clean things up. So really, really nice play from Stalker, using that Primal Rage, the extra HP that provides, you know, the 600 plus the 1,000 to open things up for Beastie Boys again. So love what I'm seeing there, and you know, just to point out the Winston being a difference maker.
What I'm interested in is now, Enigma have got Jelly Doodle on this backline. He's set up in such a good position, decides to pop the attack visor, can only really shoot into the monkey, but does manage to shoot down Stalker with all that brute force damage, and takes out Newt on the backline. It's a really strong position here for Jelly Doodle sitting on the backline, and that seems to have been a core component of both of these teams' lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the story being told here, is controlling the backline, controlling how the teams can use their hit scan DPS, their stable hit scan DPS. And so far, up until this point, it had been Beastie Boys again, but now we're seeing Enigma finding their rhythm, finding the way they want to play that. And we're going to have to see, does either team want to move away from that, or is it just going to be who executes that better?
I mean, Beastie Boys being battered away from the entrance now, not even really being able to take a team fight. Blur again taking a lot on himself to just create space for the team, and now we do see Beastie Boys having stayed alive and gotten through that, pushes forward a little bit. They get some aggression. Blur's gone down at the beginning of the fight. That's going to be a little bit of the, or at least a lot of the space creation ability taken away from Enigma. Toxin Socks pops the ult though to keep Valkyrie going and keep everyone alive. Vertigo going to be able to remake on point though, going to be able to stall it out, meaning Enigma going to be able to at least keep defending for as long as they want. They've trickled this out for a long time. Beastie Boys trying to push in finally onto the point, gets chewed down as they go through there. And Enigma always had people there and thereabouts on the point, meaning that they never really gave up anything.
Yeah, and we know the story by now. 2CP, you can't afford long drawn-out team fights if you're attacking team. You have to get a decisive win at the beginning of a team fight and then start to clean up the trickle. Because if you take too long, the spawns are going to shut you down. But looking to this next team fight, we do have both tank ultis for the attacking team here. Newt as well with the nano boost. And that means Stalker has a ton of room to make space here for Kiri and for Trizzle.
Yeah, if they time this out right, that's going to be a devastating start to this, and I hope no one wastes their ultimates into this. And like you say, it has to be decisive, and Beastie Boys really running out of time to make staggered attempts here. Blur putting on a good amount of aggression at the end there. Could have bought some time there. Enigma just going to go back. And like you say, now we've got a lot that Beastie Boys can throw into this next fight. Jelly Doodle has got that attack visor, but if Stalker can get in front of him with something like a nano boost or something like that, it's going to nullify that completely. Blur's got that primal rage of his own if he wants to use it. Just goes straight into the back line. Now we still see the nano booster Stalker trying to threaten Jelly Doodle here, but has to pop that primal rage. Can get it. He gets him off the edge. Yes. Big play there. Great juggle coming through there. Trizzle and Kiri now have the space to run up onto the point, and this is what the DPS has been wanting to do from Beastie Boys this whole time. Get into space to work and get all the kills that they need as fast as possible.
And you saw there, man. Stalker had the attention of 3 Enigma players. Blur on the front line with the primal rage, putting the pressure onto Kiri, but they shut him down eventually and moved on forward though. Jelly Doodle gonna get anti-heal there. A big anti from Newt, gonna help clean things up as Verdi loses the mech now, gets taken down. Assassin back in on the fire here, not likely to get anything done. Blur being as annoying as he can be, but a nice time sleep there from Newt to clean things up, and the point will be grabbed here. Only 30 seconds left on the clock though, Altruism, and I think really the key there for me in this round has been the main tanks and what they can do. When Blur was able to make space for his team, Enigma were able to take advantage of that. When Stalker had his resources up, you know, the nano boost, his primal rage, he was able to make space for Beastie Boys, and they executed on that very effectively.
It's interesting what happens when the main tanks don't manage to get all the space, or when the team isn't able to follow up on that main space. I mean, if we look at how Blur handled the last two team fights, or at least the last two use of Primal Rage, he kind of went outside of the doors for second point, and he kind of tried to fight everyone out in the open, batter around Kiri in the backline a little bit, but then create space, and then Beastie Boys launched their next attack. And so while Enigma was able to stall out for a long time, I think 2 points is actually a really good starting point right now. The 30 seconds we can worry about later for Beastie Boys.
Yes,
the fact that they got the 2 points means that I think Enigma's got a lot of work to do. Kiri has been just as dependable. Look, Trizzle's coming out on a Torbjorn, just looking to put in consistent damage. Newt going to be able to help chew through any specific targets that poke out. And Jelly Doodle, this is going to be an interesting matchup. The Sombra versus the ooh. Okay,
that's the key for me. I think you know, we thinking back, Ultrazim, you and I, we casted the ATK Grand Finals, Beastie Boys taking on ATK, and that whole series was centered around that hero, and Volskaya was the map where it all came to a head, and this is Sombra's playground. Volskaya is Sombra's playground, but we see Stalker here on the ball and Amali on the Sigma, so a completely different look here from Beastie Boys again, as they look to set up the crossfire with the 2 DPS, but it's going to be about Jelly building that ultimate.
A really nice pick off from Kira at the beginning here. Jelly Doodle just trying, but this is how many people you're running into. There's a Torbjorn turret that's instantly going to track you. Everyone's turning around. Like, even Newt can take you out in 2 shots if he gets a really good aim going there. And so you really don't have a lot of time to work with if you're Jelly Doodle. And so it's going to be interesting to see, can they actually build this up in any sort of effective time? Not just once to win this first point, and we've seen how good Beastie Boys are at dragging out points. You know, you've got to do it now, and then you've got to do it consistently for the second point as well.
Yeah. But in theory, if we think of EMP as a team fight winner, that all you need is 2 EMPs, right? In a perfect world.
Yep.
But we've seen enough times in EMP not finding the value. It's not the team fight we think it is, but that's a great start. Just going down turret now as well.
Yeah, aggression from Enigma to just get into the face, and now they've got the hack target off the edge. Is he dead? Sally going to get a resurrect here onto Trizzle. Trizzle going to try come back into this. Turret gets taken down at the beginning of this, and it's just Enigma moving as a unit. Vertigo breaks off to go contest the point. Kiri has given some space. Kiri gets that tag visor. Jelly Doodle hunting down this wrecking ball, but it's not really a target that you really want to be focusing on right now. Is going to finally manage to get the kill. And yes, does, and it does create the opportunity back on the point, though. Beastie Boys had pretty much lost the fight already. Enigma just using that rally to stay alive, and I don't think there's going to be a recontest. I'm pretty certain.
And no, I don't think so at all. And the problem is that Jelly didn't have to use his ulti. So now they're coming in with a ton of ultis here. They got Pulse Bomb, they got the EMP self-destruct combo, they've got Blur with the Primal Rage. So how effective these tanks have been with that ultimate. And on the defensive side, Molten Core and the Transcendence is a huge one here. It's going to be about Newt's positioning. Sombra, that's huge.
That's huge. He was trying to build up for that Transcendence, and he gets instantly deleted in HP at this stage. Both the supports getting taken down. That huge opportunity, like you said. The EMP really could make the big difference maker here. Vertigo goes down, and Marley just buying some time for the team and clearing off some players. And even with that great initiation, Enigma not actually going to be able to follow up on this.
That was a disaster, man. Blur jumped in with 99 on his ulti and got eviscerated just before he could get the Primal Rage off. I think if they had their Primal Raging Monkey making space on this high ground, it looks completely different. Jelly Doodle, he found the perfect initiation. He found Newt. No Transcendence in the team fight, but the team was just a little bit too far back. The pressure from Stalker on the ball, keeping them towards the opening choke, meant Blur was a little bit too far forward, got picked off, and they've squandered that first EMP timing.
And that might be the
EMP timing.
Yeah, look at the rest of what Beastie Boys has to work with. Yes, Kiri goes down at the beginning here, but there are so many stalling ultimates that Beastie Boys can throw. They've popped the Molten Core onto the point now. Stalker's still got his mines if he needs to. Transcendence is out, keeping Beastie Boys alive for now. And even though they're getting low on HP, no one's really been able to take control of this point here for Enigma. Newt even flexing on that, wants to get involved with the DPS. And Beastie Boys don't even throw everything that they've got.
Interesting pick here, the Widowmaker, the Altruism from Jelly Doodle. He trades out there with Newt.
Oh my goodness, how is that possible?
Very nice work from Newt, actually. Of those two, I think you're more impressed with the the Zenyatta in that situation. But I think that's an interesting pick. And yeah, he switches off. I'm surprised we haven't seen Widowmaker on this map have a lot of effect since 2016 when the game first came out. She really doesn't feel that great on second point attacks on 2CP, so not surprised to see him switch back. But I wonder what his rationale was there as Beasty Boys not even letting this fight get started.
Maybe they were just wanting to try and build some ult economy, get an early pick that they could leverage out or something. They didn't have a lot to work with and had to bait out some ultimates from Beastie Boys. But like you say, Widowmaker is just not a hero that consistently gets enough kills normally in the hands of a mere mortal like you and I. That you want to see on your second point attack. Now we see Beastie Boys again having a little bit more to stall out with Smiley nearly up to this ultimate. But there's really one opportunity here. Fluffy has to stay alive with this nano boost, and Blur's gone down already. Didn't manage to get that nano boost off in time, and so Enigma has squandered their very quick aggression opportunity. Now Vertigo in the back line. Assassin JDB going to go down. Vertigo has built up that ultimate, but how many more miracles do we expect? Trying now, gets taken down in the beginning of the fight, and Enigma with just a little bit of a stagger to start to this fight end up being cleaned up comfortably.
That was such a sick sleep from Fluffy, catching Stalker as the pile drive was coming through. But yeah, not able to clean up the team fight after that. This is now a bit of a struggle for them. Minute and a half left on the clock. They're coming in with Tac Visor, but with how much cover there is for the defensive side, Tac Visor is not necessarily an avenue into a ton of kills for the attacking team. So this could be difficult for Enigma. They don't have that teamfight winner in the form of the EMP to work with this. You see Assassin JDB come around the corner here. Get rid of that turret.
Somehow a bit of work being done, but Newt again proving pivotal and has now got up that Transcendence, going to be able to keep everyone on the point alive, and bolstered up by the Molten Core from Trizzle means that Beastie Boys throws down everything that they need to once again turn Enigma around, and Enigma's just wasted that. You got to think that one opportunity where they had the rally and the nano boost and that chance to go in there when Beastie Boys didn't have any of their stalling ultimates, that was the one moment Enigma needed. And they may not get another now.
They may not. Only 40 seconds left-ish on the clock, 45, and really going to struggle to build up any ultimates here coming in. But this might be the guy who does it, right? Assassin JDB on the Sparrow. We've seen him do miracles. We spoke about Vertigo's miracles. This man right here doesn't need miracles, but losing teammates on the ground.
Has to trade it out and does actually pick off that counterplay there. Manages to take out both of the DPS. Vertigo left running, now gets taken out by the mine there from Stalker. Stalker just using that stalling ultimate, but Beastie Boys is now kind of out of stalling ultimates. Vertigo trying desperately to just get a remake at some stage there. Gets peeled out at the end. You got to think Beastie Boy is going to be able to hold this. They've dropped Kiri's ultimate very early to stop any sort of stall attempts coming in. There is the overtime tick, but Enigma's lost so much already. Beastie Boys take their second point.
Yeah, it takes us to a 2-1. The series is going the distance so far. We are going to map 5 up next. Of course, we do have that draw in the middle there, but that was another momentum shift. I think we saw Beastie Boys again execute perfectly on their attack firstly, and this was a key moment for me here, right? You put the pressure on. You've got 2 heroes focusing on you, 3 if you include the Pharaohs. Bring the pressure on. Whoa, okay. A little bit fortunate, I think, there, not to get his head bonked on the ceiling, but really, really nice play from the 2 main tanks there, the 2 Winstons, and I'm super impressed. This game is making me emotional, guys. I'm sorry. I get you, though. I think that's the key for me, right? The main tank play. And I think on the defense, we saw Stalker finally get value out of that ball, finally be able to play it like he wants to. The thin corridors where he could push the pressure on and create chaos made it so hard for Beastie Boys to come, Enigma to come through there. And I think it was the key to them not losing that huge EMP fight at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when you get 4-man EMP'd, you kind of start going into panic stations at that stage. You got so few abilities to work with, but that key being the Stalker being able to disrupt the rest of the engagement really gave Beastie Boys that advantage, and they're now on match point. Guys, we're going to go to a very short break, and then the Council Buffalo Cup, one of the most intense series I think we've seen in the whole competition so far. Really glad that this was my return to South African Overwatch after a while, man. This is a game to step into, and what a bit of South African Overwatch for you guys. We'll catch the rest of it just after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. How's the Buffalo Cap action? I didn't know it could get this intense just in the group stage, I must admit. We have Enigma Overwatch versus Beasty Boys Agane. And man, this really, if this is the fight for second place in the country, I can't wait to see the fight for first.
Yeah, I think that I'm excited to, he always questions like the academy team taking on the main team, if you want to put it that way. Like, what is that going to look like? You'd have to assume the main team is better. What kind of a fight all these teams should put up. But it is very exciting to see what the, on paper, second and third best teams are doing. And it's really exciting to see this academy team, Beasty Boys, again, putting on such a strong performance. I mean, they're ahead in the series. We knew coming in that it was possible that they could be the second best team in the country. And it's exciting to see just how closely matched they are to an old Legends team, if you want to put it that way, that is Enigma.
No, I must admit, and to see the fact that the Legends are running very solid lineups. We talk about sometimes Enigma is not always running at their peak. They're a team of cyclic ability. I don't
cyclic ability.
Let's go with that, right? I think that's PC. No, they are a team that has their great moments, and I mean we've seen a couple of them tonight. Vertigo getting bombs left, right, and center. Self-destruct is just. I want to. If we ever have a LAN and Vertigo's there, please someone make a sign. Vertigo is the bomb. Please, we've got to see that on stream somewhere. I'll come and take a photo and buy that sign from you.
Wow, that's exciting.
We'll see. We'll put it up for auction. But really good team from Enigma. But the fact that Beastie Boys is able to take it to them and push against these really solid, well-known lineups from Enigma, good sign.
Very, very good sign. But Beastie Boys again are playing their own solid, well-known line. There's been a lot of mirrored compositions here in this series, and that's also a very good sign that you can play. They're not relying on some cheesy garbage. They're playing very standard Overwatch, and they're playing it extremely well, executing perfectly. And I think it's really all off the back of some strong synergistic team play of each player knowing their role, understanding what they need to do to help their teammates excel. And we see that in the way Stalker and Amali play. Stalker especially on the front line, backed up by his supports to make space for the DPS who know that they're going to get all these space. If they just don't die, they'll have space to put the damage down. And we're seeing how effectively Kyrie and Trizzle have been able to do that so far.
Yeah, that damage coming out is so consistent so far from Beastie Boys. Is if you give them a bit of space, if Stalker does manage to just crack open and take some attention. When Stalker was trying to make big plays or even get kills on the back line, they weren't really working that well on Numbani. But you saw it here. I think it was Numbani, wasn't it? Dorado, I think. There it wasn't working, but now being able to create that space that everyone files through afterwards, being able to get through a pivotal choke or something like that, that's allowing Kyrie to get into space. We are going to see Trizzle now back on the Pharah, so a lot of swap up in the role for these two. And the aerial battle will take on Assassin JDB and Toxin Socks, meeting them up in the skies.
Yeah, looking at the Pharah v Pharah, it's hard to say anything against Assassin JDB, right? Probably one of the best Pharahs in the country right now. I mean, if you go back to the Pride Cup and watch those games, you'll see what domination looks like. And of course, Pride Cup's a bit tough when teams are pug-style teams where the synergy isn't always there. So it's going to be interesting to see how a more synergistically put together team is going to be able to deal with him and whether Trizzle can take the fight to them, as we see him trying to do here in the sky.
Ooh, that fight in the sky might actually be. At what point do you just start ignoring the other player in the sky? Because you got to worry about someone like Jelly Doodle on the ground. Trizzle does take out Jelly Doodle. Newt going to be probably the more pivotal kill there, and Smiley going to go down as well. Instantly, we see Beastie Boys without any sort of support. We do have a really nice compilation on top of that now coming out from the side of Enigma, trying really hard. Stalker and Trizzle making some work. Beastie Boys back into this fight. Trizzle staying so elusive and just raining down that damage. Actually takes this fight in the favor so far of Beastie Boys. They've been able to reinforce with their support. There's just a lone Jelly Doodle left on the point, and even the res going to keep Trizzle back into the fight.
Yeah, I think it has so far been a battle of the Pharaohs, but you can't count these soldiers out as well. They're putting in so much work, and the tanks, both teams, once again, mirrored compositions, and at the moment, these chaotic team fights are just favoring the Beastie Boys again a little bit more. A very close team fight, it has to be said, but at the moment, Enigma struggling just to clean things up faster than Beastie Boys again are.
They've got an opportunity now. Fluffy going to go down in the back line, though, is a huge pick. Amali going to finally get taken down out of that mech. And here goes Vertigo, throwing the Diva self-destruct in the back line. Picks up 2 in another round. That's going to create the opportunity for Enigma to go into this. Can they get rid of Trizzle, who was such a problem last time? Assassin JDB effectively pays with their own life for it. But does at least trade it out. And now can they stop this Resurrect? Assassin JDB is back in the action. Farah, can they come back for round 2 here for Enigma? Going to be able to make some work done, and Blur, having swapped onto a wrecking ball of his own, comes through with a great pile driver to take out the mines, cancel them, and now even follow up this damage, just chasing everyone off the point that he can. He's going to get back to the team. Ooh, 11 HP.
Oh, damn, that was close. And again, though, they had that fight won at 30 seconds, but 30%, sorry, but another 20% burn. They're just being so elusive, RBBA, not dropping quickly and buying more time on the point here, more percentage on the point here. Look at that. Nice work there, stealing the health back to prevent Stalker from getting that extra HP. And now Blur's going to move aggressively here. Kiri isolated, but look at that. Playing elusively in his own right once again.
Amali going to throw in a nice self-destruct onto the point to try and reinforce that, and eats most of the barrage, so is going to eventually get the mech taken out here, and kind of left in no man's land. Could get a lot of attention very quickly. There eventually comes through, and they chew through Amali at the beginning of the fight. A nice rocket comes out from Assassin. Trizzle trying to do some work with the barrage.
Oh, no.
Wakes up to a self-destruct in the face, and Vertigo picks up that kill. That's just cheeky to clear it out for Enigma here.
Yeah, when you're taking a nap and you see the self-destruct taking up all of the field of view, you're in a bit of a troubled position. But Beastie Boys again now on the back foot. Amali does have the self-destruct, and self-destruct is actually pretty decent at taking out pharmacies in the sky if you can identify their positioning. But this is great positioning from Assassin JDB. How do you deal with a Farah who's this far back? How do you deal with a Mercy who's not even showing herself? So great positioning from Enigma now as they look to get aggressive.
Yeah, Enigma just pops that early Valkyrie onto the point, gets that extra beam length, and just waits against Beastie Boys as they come in. Here comes a nice tank visor from Kiri, takes out Jelly Doodle after taking out, or gets the triple kill, in fact. On top of that, now going to be able to try and put some pressure onto the point. Just tries to run back to the team, standing and fighting. Has the biggest target in the world of the Hammond right in front of them, and picks up the fire flames as they pick up the point.
Very nice play from Beastie Boys again, and Kiri especially finding the angle, finding a couple of picks there, and that's the benefit of these chaotic team fights. If you're not aware of the tactical visor and where it's going to come from, it can really spell the end of your pharmacy, which of course has a cascading effect of ending the team. Here's Blur gets aggressive in the backline with his ultimate.
The Agane Stalker just so aware of where these proximity mines are going down, just pile drives straight afterwards and effectively takes them out. Now has their own store potential. Assassin JDB going to go off the edge there, just trying to get some distance now. Smiley gets taken out. Assassin JDB has one attempt to come back and has got the barrage. Actually going to follow up after that lovely pulse bomb stick, and now comes the barrage from the corner. Doesn't manage to track down anyone, does at least secure a little bit of space. We're going to go into the high air of this point now, trying to stay out of sight. Doesn't have a lot of HP to work with, but still gets the response that they need. Gets the damage down onto the point here. This could really open it up. Assassin JDB, such a reliable Farah, but has basically been left alone now as the rest of the team being picked apart underneath them. Fluffy, the sole survivor, and Blur trying to keep it alive for now. Just stall it out. It's 99%. It's gonna tick down. Beastie Boys looking to take the first map of our control point.
That was actually amazing from Beastie Boys again. They were so far behind for so much of that. I really felt like Enigma had it under control, but no, Beastie Boys again with some perfectly timed respawns coming to push through, and such a close series, such a close map. But now we're moving to something that is completely different. We've been talking so much, Altruism, about the main tanks, Blur, Stalker, Winston, Ball. Those are the two heroes that they've been making their name on throughout the series. But now we look to something completely different. We saw Enigma coming out with the Reinhardt composition on Oasis and not having as much success as I think they were probably hoping. And now we see the script flipped. It's going to be Stalker this time on the main tank, and they're going to be running Symmetra. So it's an exact mirror of what we saw last time.
And look at this variation in the team composition. You got Trizzle, who's going to be needing to get these picks very quickly. And if you get into the wrong position with no cooldowns left, you got a Reaper shotgun that you got to worry about. You got a hack that you got to worry about. There's got to be such careful initiation coming out from Beastie Boys so far. Just dodging the fight, and it's up to Enigma now to close the distance. They got so much damage going in there. Trizzle does get the pick off though. Everyone else hiding behind Stalker's big shield, just so present on here. Trizzle eventually gets taken down, and Jelly Doodle now out of Wraith has to try and man fight up into everyone. There's Reinhardt hammers swinging. There's Diva taking them down, just being able to mitigate so much damage. And it is Beastie Boys' initiation that has paid off eventually, being held up and kept alive.
Yeah, Newt there coming in clutch for us. Maybe not clutch, but just keeping everyone healthy. I think they were under a ton of pressure in that choke point. They kind of moved up, but Enigma's mobility got them in that position so much quicker, and they were raining in damage through that choke as we see the lamp having to be thrown across the field there. Tox ends up dropping first despite the pressure on Smiley's Lucio.
That's huge. Being able to support your team from such a distance without having to engage yourself drops the window and actually takes off the second wave of Enigma coming in from the side there. Now we've got 5 ultimates on the board here for Beastie Boys. The key one for Enigma being that EMP at least. Can you catch a lot of people? Goes out, catches 3. Smiley has been caught here. Trizzle's up in the air. Blur trying to follow up here, just disrupting the main tank. No one's going to be hiding here behind Stalker. Stalker kept in the corner, but they don't need to hide. They can come forward. They've got the sound barrier also now reinforcing Beastie Boys. They're running for this. They even see Stalker picking up the health pack. Does get taken down eventually. And so Enigma now going to have to try and leverage some sort of advantage, but it's not enough of advantage. There's still so many players from Beastie Boys left alive that no one from Enigma is able to push forward. They've got Jelly Doodle sitting on this Death Blossom, really wanting to make something happen, but the EMP really came to naught at the end of the day.
Yeah, again, disjointed there. It felt like Enigma weren't ready for that EMP. It felt like Jelly saw an opportunity, got an okay EMP, and Enigma weren't able to follow up on it. Now Kiri in a great position with attack fires over the top, though.
A nice bit of awareness comes out from Blur to shut down that position, and here comes the Death Blossom from Jelly Doodle, eventually pays with their life. Kiri somehow alive on 5 HP, eventually gets taken down by JDB, and that vision through the walls. Blur trying to get back up onto the point is going to be here, tries to reinforce now with the self-destruct. Vertigo gets one, but pays with their own life before they can remech, and Blur going to take down the mech on the other side, gets the pulse bomb to the face. The barrier just didn't last long enough, and it is coming with another EMP assassin JDB, but again, this is a little bit disjointed, doesn't really have the follow-up here, trying to chew through as much HP as possible, install out the point, gets a second touch here, Fire Strike takes out Fluffy on the back line, and Beastie Boys looking to close out the entire game on this last overtime. They have done it.
They have done it, and that's it. Game series over. Honestly, Altruism, this is a 5-map series that felt like it was just getting started. I don't know if you agree with me. I feel like we were still sussing out these two teams and where they stand and what they want to do, but unfortunately, Enigma just ran out of time here. Beastie Boys again will take the 3-1 victory here in spite of that draw on Numbani, and I think honestly, either of these teams at any point could have come away with the series, but at the end of it all, I think synergistically, I was so impressed with Beastie Boys again, so impressed with how they had identified the roles of the individuals on their team and how they needed to play as individuals to buff up their teammates and help them do even more than we've seen them do before. We knew Kiri was a superstar coming in, but he never had an opportunity to show that in quite the never his true potential, not able to show his true potential on DYG, but now with Beastie Boys again, with the strength of their front line, the strength of their back line, he's able to pop off in such a huge way, and that is exciting for me to see. And I'm excited to see, like you were alluding to earlier, Altruism, up against Beastie Boys. What are Beastie Boys again gonna do?
Oh, that's going to be exciting. I mean, those are two teams that know each other. I mean, Beastie Boys came through with great plays, and so did Enigma. The fact that you talk about people like Kiri, when they've got the space, are able to perform that role so well, just so consistently, such good damage numbers coming out there. I mean, you could look at that in any sort of statistics that you wanted, number of kills and time on fire. You pick a stat, and Kiri was up there with really good numbers, being able to back up that position. And it all came through the unification of the team that you talk about, the fact that the rest of the team was able to just execute their individual roles. And you saw it, Beastie Boys, when Enigma had that little mid-rally there in the midway through the series, Beastie Boys kind of fell apart. Their players weren't getting into the right positions. They were going a little bit more stagnant. When they actually pulled together at the end, beautiful play that's coming through. I would like to see this, and this is the future of South African Overwatch. I mean, let's be honest, this is fantastic, taking on the old boys of Enigma and really creating a big challenge at the top.
Absolutely, and the next challenge is the old boys of the Beastie Boys. So I'm excited to see this Beastie Boys Again squad. We knew coming into this, and in general looking at the roster, that this was a team full of young up-and-coming superstars, and to see them perform in the way they have against a strong team like Enigma is exciting. But it does also raise questions around Enigma. You know, what does this team need to do to secure their position at the top of South African Overwatch? They've always been there or thereabouts, one step away from being the best team in the country at so many, or second best team in the country at so many different points throughout its history. What do they need to do to take that final step to lift the trophy, the metaphorical trophy of being considered the best team in the country? They've got time now. That's the end of the group stage. I think there's one more game that needs to take place for Beastie Boys again against DYG. And if that happens, they should, in theory, top out Group A. Beastie Boys top out Group B. Beastie Boys topping out Group A with Enigma in second place. And this match is extremely important. If Beastie Boys, assuming Beastie Boys again beat DYG or whatever happens there, they will come out in first place in this group, and that means they avoid playing against the Beastie Boys proper squad, and that is a huge deal. Enigma now, in their first round of the upper bracket, have to go up against the Beastie Boys, so they've got their work cut out for them in their first match of the bracket stage, which will start next week. And that's what this game was all about. You don't just win the match, you don't just top the group, you also avoid playing against the Beastie Boys in your first match in the upper bracket.
That path through to the grand finals is such an easier one when you can come through top seeded in your group. I mean, the second seed team, Rage Quit Odyssey from Group A, still a good South African team, a team that deserves their position up here at the top, but you'd much rather be taking on them than Beastie Boys if you have to, before you don't want to go down to that lower bracket if you can avoid it, at least not until the last minute. So Beastie Boys again going to be very happy with their performance tonight. Enigma, I think they need to polish their game by 1 second.
Yes,
that's pretty much it. The difference between the EMP and the follow-up, or the blur going in slightly too early and there just not being enough sustain to keep them alive, that 1 second difference on initiation and follow-up could be the key that Enigma needs to pull the whole thing together. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can do that now for the bracket stage.
Absolutely it is, and we know these guys have the power to go back and VOD review and look through everything. They've got Coach Blur, their main tank. They've got the resources to really analyze what happened in this game, and of course they've got, from this game, just as a microcosm, examples of where they played extremely well and where they made some mistakes, and they can contrast the two and ask themselves the question, what were we doing on Volskaya Industries that we struggled so much on our second attack? What were we doing on Dorado that we looked so dominant, and how do we recreate that so we can be successful going forward? And they've got the power to do that. They've got the minds on that squad to get that done, and I'm excited. I'm always excited from whenever I see Enigma lose. I'm excited to see what comes after that.
Have to get your word order really right there, because you can't say, I'm so excited to see Enigma lose and then rally around it or something like that. Well handled there. No, it's great to see any team that can learn from the mistakes, and Enigma really is one of those teams in South Africa. They've been around for long enough that they'll be able to get to that. We have just the one game left now in the group stage, and then we go to the bracket stage. Do you want to break down all the information for those wanting to keep up with the action?
Sure, bracket stage, as you said, starting next week. Group stages all over now, other than the one game, as you mentioned. And it is going to be the teams you've already mentioned going to the upper bracket. Of course, just to remind you guys, it is top 4 out of the groups of 5 going to the bracket stage. So only one team eliminated from each group. But you want to be top 2, that takes you to the upper bracket from each group, and bottom 2 takes you to the low bracket. So that's going to be happening over the course of the next 4 weeks. We'll probably have matches on Sundays if I know these teams very well, and we'll obviously do our best to bring you as many matches as we can. So tune in on Sundays. That's our most likely day that we're going to have matches at 8 p.m. at this time, and grand finals in about 4 weeks' time.
Course, if you guys want to keep up to it. Big shout outs to our production crew here, Scars and the Peach ZA, both being able to make sure that it all runs as smoothly as possible. I do love the new technical difficulties overlay, by the way. Scars broke something and Peach is trying to fix it. 100% what happens all the time, isn't that? It's nice for you guys to get to know what happens in the background here. So Phoenix, awesome to jump back into a cast with you, my friend.
Absolutely. It brings a tear to my eye, Altruism. This casting together with, of course, my favorite co-caster. No disrespect to all my other favorite co-casters. So hopefully we'll get to see some more of you in the bracket stage, bringing us your lovely play-by-play. But if not, it's been awesome to have you back here, and you picked a doozy of a game to come back.
Hells yeah. Okay? Hells yeah. I'm sure I'll be around for a lot more of it. Guys, we'll see you on our next stream. Follow both of us at Sun Phoenix with a Y for some reason.
And O and E in the wrong order. It's very critical to me.
Oh,
please just correctly, okay? Because
exclamation casters in chat or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Apparently not, but it's
take it down now.
Very wrong, so that it looks less generic, because it's a pretty generic.
Not like this other people. I'm my own unique brand.
Yeah, exactly.
That is at Sun Phoenix, and I'm at Altruism. Guys, been a beautiful evening of Overwatch to get to say. Loved with every moment with you, and I'm sure we'll have much more of this in the coming few weeks. Until the next one, keep safe. We'll see you then.